Everybody, I'm Chase, and this is my review of The Suicide Squad. Not Suicide Squad from 2016. It is The Suicide Squad from 2021. So it is out for the world to see, and let's review it and criticize it. As most people do with DC films online. My God, that is a passionate fan base. Just like with MCU, I'm a part of both camps, but sometimes I am embarrassed by the intensity of some of the just the fandom. It's a bit much. Anyways, this one comes to us from Warner Brothers in DC, and if you've never seen the original Suicide Squad before, you have a bunch of villains in a prison in the DC world. You know, Harley Quinn. In the first one, you had Deadshot, Boomerang, Rick Flag, and so you have all these people are in a prison, and it's run by Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. And whenever she wants stuff done, or whenever she wants to take on any type of evil outside of those walls, she uses the people in the prison to use as pawns, and she basically coerces them. Is that the word? I think I just had a brain aneurysm. She dupes them into saying like, oh, well, we can knock off like 10 years off of your sentence, or 20 years, depending on the threat level of what they have to face. And so a lot of them are just like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'm not working for you. I don't work for anybody. But she basically, tricks them into thinking that's a good deal, even though they could possibly die, hence the name Suicide Squad. And so a lot of them are kind of taken under their will to do it, but if they do complete it, hopefully Amanda Waller, knock on wood, does fulfill her promise. She puts those chips in the back of their head to where if they do anything wrong off the mission, she can explode those chips from her office, and their heads will just go bye-bye. So yeah, so that's the Suicide Squad in a nutshell. So in this one, you have a new group of characters, different from the last film, well, somewhat. And they are going to fight a giant starfish that can release little starfish that can suck onto your face like face huggers and Alien, and they can control you. Terrifying. But also kind of funny, which you kind of need someone like a James Gunn to come write and direct this film. James Gunn has had a fascinating career, and I've followed him through the majority of my life. He was an uncredited screenwriter on 13 Ghosts, probably the earliest thing in my life in 2001. He wrote the Scooby-Doo movies. Yeah, those movies. And I'm not being sarcastic. I watched those quite a bit growing up. He did he wrote the Dawn of the Dead remake, I believe. He did Slither, which was my first like actual notice of his career, because that came out when I was like a teenager, so that was perfect timing for me, because I was like, I wanted to watch all these R-rated horror films. I found this one, loved it, and that's how I got to know him. And then of course with like the Guardians films and doing stuff like that for Disney, and he's worked with Troma Entertainment before, which I haven't seen those films, but I need to, like Romeo and Juliet. He pretty much makes the same style of movie. It's just packaged differently, whether it is like a $200 million budget or whether it's like a $10 million budget. He does the same stuff. And he has an infinite love of like B-level cinema, goofy stuff, campy. But for some weird reason, it's entertaining and we care. And I think that is magical. That is the power of what he can do for his films. And jumping into the Suicide Squad, it makes sense. Guardians is about a bunch of misfits, outcasts, people that have morals that are borderline gray zone, like anti-hero type of territory. But for some weird reason, we care. We care about their bonding experience. We care about their past lives. We care about them going forward as characters. And they're entertaining to watch. They're great installments in that universe. So it just makes sense to kind of transition that into DC and do the same thing over here. Except this time, he can make it R-rated. He ain't under the mouse house anymore. He's coming back for Guardians 3. But he's not under that family restriction where he has to do that stuff. So he gets to go buck wild. And by buck wild, I'm talking like, let's go back to your Slither days and make it just super over the top and gory. Now, it could be a misfire. You don't have to do that. But I knew once you hire James Gunn and you give him full reign, it's going to be wild. So, first question. Is this better than its predecessor from 2016? 1,000% yes. It's almost like that one is just wiped from existence now. It's kind of incredible how much you just forget about it as soon as this one's done. Is The Suicide Squad a good movie? Yeah, I think it's a great movie. It's not one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It's never going to reach like the level of like a Logan for me, where like I think that might be my favorite of all time. Like, so I have my tiers of like, this is like, this could compete with like some of the best movies of like the year type of category, which is like a Logan, and then you get to stuff like this where it's like it's really great. Yeah, it's really entertaining to watch. So I think James Gunn's sensibilities with his entire career just make perfect sense for this film. It is zany, it is over the top, it is super violent and gory. Haven't seen that in quite a bit, probably since Slither and Super, those two smaller films. But what I like about Gunn and the balance that he can bring to films is making us care about these people. That's really hard to do. When you have these characters with checkered pasts and like they're just broken souls, and they're forced to go on to this mission, and they're just doing what they think is right, and they're killing a lot of people in this film. There is that kind of layer there that when you get to the actual soul of these people, you can understand like why they're broken. You can empathize with them, and you can really kind of connect with them and hope for a turnaround and a better future. And I think that is what he does best. He did with the Guardians films, he does it with this film. And so I think that balance of darkly comedic humor, for sure, the over-the-top violence, the kind of intensity of the action, but also having these just nice little human moments, he can balance that out pretty well. He always has, and that's kind of his trait. And so I really love the kind of the over-the-top nature of this film, really kind of amping up the goofiness to an 11, but it's not overly so to where like it's unappealing or like it doesn't make any sense, and it's just shock. Sometimes it's shock for being shock, but for the most part, it is absolutely jacked up from the first one. And I think with these types of characters and this type of story, especially with the villain, you kind of need to make it a little tongue-in-cheek and goofy and way over the top than you can imagine, and really just kind of set it apart, because like you don't want to make the same thing. And so I think kind of doing that and kind of just I guess really just cranking that energy up, I think it really does make a difference, and it makes it for a super entertaining film. The action sequences are also staged really well. I was actually kind of impressed, even with the budget that they had, they were able to do as much as they did. It was really believable stuff. I enjoyed all that from that perspective. And then, like I said, the humor doesn't work all the time, but when it does, it really works. And James Gunn does have a sense of how to time out, the jokes and the editing, and just making it really kind of just fluid and snappy, and just it really just hits its mark about 90% of the time. I'll just say that. There are a couple jokes where you're like, okay, that just seems like it's super forced just to be in an R-rated movie. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty humorous, and the darkly comedic angle threw me for a loop as well, because I hadn't seen that in a while from him. Yeah, the action sequences are staged very, very well. The budget definitely shows on screen, and I have to give the visual effects department humongous props, because they had to do this whole movie in post-production during the pandemic at separate houses and stuff. Like, that was kind of incredible to me, that it all came together really well. It was very believable with this, kind of like extraterrestrial villain, and just the amount of CGI that is in this, and really to make it feel believable and it feels like it's there. Like, that was impressive to me, and it really makes a world of difference when it's like just meshed together really well with the practical effects and the action sequences, the stunts, the choreography. It all came together very nicely. And then the final thing that Gunn does very well is, the character moments when these members are talking to each other, really kind of just saying what's on their mind and really just kind of hashing out some of their problems that they've had in their life, and see if these other people that have gone through so much can understand them and empathize with them and really connect with them and be more than just a Suicide Squad and become a family. Sorry, that was an F9 joke. Just more of like a Fast and Furious general joke. Deeply apologize for that. Anyways, yeah, it's really nice to kind of see them come together and really kind of appreciate each other's company. And hey, maybe they don't want to die. Maybe they want to complete this mission so they can just continue to hang out because they're really enjoying each other's company and just enjoying having someone to talk to. Because when you're in prison, you're isolated, you're alone, you're not really talking to anyone about your emotions or anything. So it's nice to see them kind of break down and realize that they have problems that we can all kind of relate with, like, with Idris Elba's character Bloodsport and his daughter, and the fact that he can't see her and he's doing everything in his power to make sure she's safe, even though he's behind bars. So yeah, it's you just look at those situations and you're like, I can empathize with these people, even though they're killing people left and right, which I know that is a problem with some people watching this and kind of having that disconnect, because it is kind of shocking when you see it at first, when they're just mowing down a lot of people. But I think Gunn finds that balance. It may not be as strong as like a Guardians, but I still appreciated what he did. The performances are also really fun. Idris Elba can do no wrong in my eyes. That man is a gem. He is a national treasure. Please save him at all costs. He needs to be in everything. Yeah, he's a great lead. I don't read the comics, but it does seem like Bloodsport and Deadshot are kind of the same character with the same powers, I guess. They're just really great marksmen. They can pick up any weapon and utilize it to their advantage. Will Smith was great in the other one, for sure, but Idris Elba he's just a better lead, for sure. Of course, Margot Robbie's in this, plays Harley Quinn again. I've kind of gone on this roller coaster with Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie and her performance, and she has her moments for sure, but she's not my favorite. And like, she's just kind of there. I don't even think James Gunn wanted Harley Quinn in this movie, but Warner Brothers said that's our only stipulation, so he made it work to the best of his ability. Her storyline is also causing problems with people online. I didn't really see it as a problem. She was in an unfortunate situation and she got out of it the best she could. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess people need to tell me in the comments and open up my eyes as to why that is a very problematic storyline. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. I even liked him in the first one. A little corny in some of the line delivery, but he really kind of has found his place in this universe as Rick Flag. I roll my eyes because if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Viola Davis, always fun as Amanda Waller. She really just kind of cheeses up that performance, and I just absolutely love seeing her. Jai Courtney as Boomerang shows up. That's all I'll say. And I won't even discuss the other people because they were cool to watch on screen, but let's just be real. The movie's called The Suicide Squad. People ain't making it out alive. So, even though some of the performances were short-lived, they were just injected with so much charisma that when they were gone and we had new people, it's not like it was a humongous shift to where it bothered me. It was just like, that was fun. Let's move on to the next group. That's what this movie's all about in this universe. So, I left out John Cena. On purpose. Well, I'll tell you what. King Shark, voiced by Sylvester Stallone, very fun. I liked watching that character. He's just a you know, just this big old goofball, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but just kind of like loafs around, and he does eat people, but he's got to eat, so I understand. Yeah, King Shark, really really fun to watch. But John Cena, I did purposely leave out because I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on his performance. I think forcing him with most of the kind of crude jokes, it's always been a detriment to John Cena with R-rated movies, because just if he does it too much, it can just seem forced and it can be a complete turnoff. It's borderline here. I would say that he does it a little too much, and the jokes, and just giving him all the R-rated stuff, basically. Well, most of it just doesn't come across as, I guess, as genuine as like the other jokes or like the other kind of R-rated things that happen in this film. It just seems like this was the one thing that felt like it was just there to kind of push that rating. And honestly, you could have changed up his jokes. I mean, that's probably the best way to say it. Now, do I want to see like a full-on like show with him? Also kind of iffy on that. So he was kind of like, he had some good moments for sure, and his thought process is totally messed up on his perspective on things, because he is Peacemaker. He's supposed to keep peace at all costs, but that's kind of the point, is like, people do that in real life, keeping peace to whatever extent, even though they're like murdering a bunch of people. So there is some darkly comedic irony there, but also terrifying. And so I like his character. There's stuff to explore. It's just some of those jokes, I'm like, John Cena in R-rated comedies has had a lot of misfires, and now you can see why. But I still like to see him grow as his character, and I'll give the show a chance, but he was kind of iffy for me. Yeah, and I think the film looks pretty good. I love the cinematic look to it versus like the kind of music video look to the first one, and making it super like hyper lit, and just like the shots that just look like something that is background imagery for like a music video. This felt more cinematic, and I appreciate that more. It, once again, distinguishing itself from its predecessor. It does look really, really nice, and some of the shots are absolutely stunning, and just the way they frame them up, making it feel like a comic book, but also just adding this pop on screen. You're just like, wow, that was nice. But yes, it is 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think it's entertaining enough to fly by. I didn't really feel bored at any point, which was great, because I did feel like there were slower-ish parts in the first one that I didn't really particularly care about. So this one definitely made up for that in terms of the pacing. There are 2 end-credit scenes. One of them is inconsequential. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. And then the other one is just a lead up into the Peacemaker show. Nothing really too crazy, but yeah, those are the end credit scenes. So I ended up liking this movie quite a bit. I do like it more than the first one. I want to see them experiment more with DC stuff that's more R-rated and kind of stands out from Disney. As much as I like MCU stuff, they still have it still has to be family entertainment. I like that you can give filmmakers a chance to kind of just go buck wild on something, and it turns out to be a pretty entertaining piece of cinema. So that is my review of the Suicide Squad. I don't know if I really got to everything, but it is a pretty large movie when it comes to the cast and the ensemble. So hopefully you liked the review. Let me know down below whether you loved it, hated it, just all of that. And then that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.